All right, who is ready for 49ers Intel after that 21-20 win over Denver? As you guys know, I write following these games. I wrote on some of the 49ers rookies for The Athletic. So go ahead and check that out once the piece does drop. It was a lively 49ers locker room today, as you would expect, following a walk-off win. Did you know that that was Jake Moody's first career walk-off field goal? Didn't have one at Michigan, didn't have one at high school, had one against Illinois for Michigan last year, game winner with 13 seconds left. But today, Jake Moody, for the first time, got to feel the ice coursing through his veins at the final gun. 49ers were down by 2. Time expired as Moody split the uprights from 32 yards out. And, I think that's one of the big themes here. Encouraging, very encouraging that the 49ers can take size of relief for both Jake Moody, who missed 2 field goals last week and then missed an extra point today out on this field. Well, he knocked through a game winner, knocked through another field goal before that too, but it was a shorter one, right? It was like 20 yards early in this game for Jake Moody. And Moody was able to do it because Trey Lance led the 49ers right down the field against the Denver third-team defense, probably a mix of 2s and 3s, but I don't care. After I saw Trey Lance last week, he did not look good in his first game coming off of the major ankle injury. The 49ers just needed to see him get more comfortable, and it took Trey a while to get more comfortable today. But ultimately, it was 12 of 18, 176 yards, 3 straight scores for the 49ers with Trey Lance at quarterback. Yes, it was against the 2s and the 3s, but the goal for the 49ers is just to have a good quarterback room, a deep, good QB room. And today they showed their clearest signs of having that. Brock Purdy was really damn good out of the gate. 4 of 5 for the 49ers, moved them right down the field. Or was it 5 of 6? Only one incompletion for Brock Purdy. It was an intentional throwaway. He was sharp. He's clearly the 49ers' best quarterback. There should be no more debate about that. I thought just contextually, look at Brock Purdy, and you compare it to other returns from injury of 49ers quarterbacks under Kyle Shanahan. Jimmy Garoppolo, 2019, coming off the ACL against Denver, same team, but it was in Denver. First preseason game for Jimmy Garoppolo. Oh, he looked terrible. He looked rusty. Wasn't good at all. Well, then you look at Trey Lance's return from injury last week against Las Vegas. Wasn't good at all. There's a psychological component to these things, right? And you have to overcome that initial barrier to return from injury successfully. And Trey Lance obviously got better today, but he wasn't nearly as good. He was not nearly as good in his first game returning from injury as Brock Purdy was today. So the 49ers have to be absolutely thrilled with that. But a big sigh of relief that Lance was better this week than last. And you know what? I thought that Sam Darnold was also good for the 49ers. Sam Darnold was, it was 3 drives. I think the 49ers came up empty, no points, but it was hard to blame almost all of that on Sam Darnold. The second team 49ers offensive line is still an issue. I'll be talking about that a whole lot here over the next couple days as we turn the page to week 3 of the preseason. But there were 2 sacks. One, I think Darnold had no chance on. The second one, I thought that, okay, maybe he had a little bit of a chance. I'm going to have to ask Kyle Shanahan about it after he watches some of the tapes. We'll probably ask Kyle about it on the conference call tomorrow. But there was a free rusher, Jonathan Cooper, coming off the near side. Maybe, I think based on my knowledge of how Kyle likes these things run, I think maybe he would have wanted Sam Darnold to go to his the side where the free rusher was coming toward, and Charlie Warner seemed open there. But boy, the rush was on Sam quick. And I thought that one sack really derailed the most promising drive early on in the first half from Sam Darnold before he was able to turn things around with the score to Jack Clodo in the second half. But even on that the drive that was derailed there in the first half, Sam made a great throw to Jawan Jennings under pressure. He was hit on the play. Unfortunately, a holding call against John Feliciano wiped that out. So the point is that Sam Darnold was making plays, but they were getting negated by his offensive line. His final stat line was fine as well. It was like 11 of 15, right, today. And he did lead that score to Jack Coletto with a nice pass before that to Daz Newsome on 3rd and long. Sam Darnold, electric arm talent, right? Near side hash, you could see it behind me on the field. There was near side hash to far side boundary. made it look easy. Plenty of zip on the throw. You can tell Sam Darnold is that former number 3 pick. Just like Trey Lance, who showed off his arm talent late. Lance was peppering the ball down the field. Now, it didn't start great for Trey Lance. Had the screen pass intercepted, another near interception after that. But then Trey, once the deadline pressure hit, he just let it rip. And that's why the 49ers are walking out of this game saying, hey, we got 3 quarterbacks that can do something. Obviously, Brock Purdy's their one, but this is a team that ran out of QBs last year, so they need depth in the room. And Sam Darnold gives them depth. Trey Lance gives them depth. I don't know who 2 is. I don't know who 3 is right now. I think Sam Darnold has the higher floor. I think that's still obvious. Lance had the turnover-worthy plays today, but I think Lance is progressing fast. He was way better week 2 than he was in week 1, and there's week 3 to determine this, right? They play the Chargers on this field on Friday, and maybe if Trey Lance can show some more stability here, like he did down the stretch of his outing today, maybe he can overtake Sam Darnold for that spot. I think it's still very even. It's undetermined. Kyle Shanahan is letting this play out fairly. He gave Sam Darnold the whole not the whole first half because Brock Purdy played at the start, but he tried to give Sam Darnold essentially a whole half's worth of play today. So he came in late in the first quarter, 3 plays for Sam there, played the entire second quarter, then most of the third to get the half that Trey Lance got last week, and then Lance played later on today. So the roles were inverted. Everybody did good stuff. And the fact that Trey got to play in a high-pressure situation, game-winning drive, down 2, drove the 49ers right down the field, that was, I think, invaluable experience for Trey Lance. He delivered in the clutch today, right? I think he was 6 of 6 on that final drive. So again, I don't care that it came against the 3rd-team Denver defense. What I'm looking for is competence from Trey Lance in a game-like situation with the new mechanics, and we definitely saw that today. He definitely earned himself a nice shot at that QB's 2 spot next week, if that's still something that's undetermined for Kyle Shanahan. And I think it is. I think that they're fairly evaluating this 50-50 split that you're seeing between Trey Lance and Sam Darnold. Today, Darnold got most of the time, but Lance got the most pivotal time in the context of the football game. Now, we got to talk about the guys that they were throwing to. And, well, here's one more point on Lance I prepared before I went on here. Lance must still raise his floor, but he clearly develops a rhythm with more snaps. The longer that Lance is out there, the more of a rhythm he develops. Boy, he throws a nice intermediate ball when he's in rhythm. I mean, he squeezed one in there, the Willie Snead, that was super impressive on that winning drive. And then obviously there was the 43-yarder to Ronnie Bell. And that's what I wrote about up on The Athletic, so make sure you check that out. Article might be up now. If it's not, it's going to be up tomorrow. But this is the kind of coverage that I think you want to stay around for, because I went into the 49ers locker room after. I'm talking to all these guys that are up on the screen right now. Ronnie Bell, Jair Brown, Cam Latu, D. Winters. Talked to all of them. Great stuff from all of them, but Ronnie Bell, I think, is probably should be the focal point right now. Talked to Jake Moody as well. I mentioned that was his first career walk-off game-winning kick, so that was cool. But Tim Kawakami wrote the article on Moody up on The Athletic. Check it out. Ronnie Bell, though, 7 catches, 114 yards, some nice work in the return game. Danny Gray today might have broken his collarbone. We won't know for sure until tomorrow because he's still undergoing x-rays. 49ers hoping he didn't, but they're already down Ray McLeod with a broken wrist. They might be down Danny Gray for some time. They need a contribution not only at receiver, but also at returner. And they're probably going to scour waiver wires and scour the free agent market for returners before they play Pittsburgh. But Ronnie Bell, who had like 12 or 13 returns at Michigan, has thrown himself into that mix. But perhaps more significantly, this guy is rumbling after the catch. The 43-yarder was impressive. I mean, what a strike of lightning from Trey Lance to Ronnie Bell, about 20 yards in the air, and then the other 23 yards. Ronnie Bell sprinted over toward the sideline, put the 49ers into that game-winning field goal range. But, I mean, we talked about it last week. He broke a couple tackles, opened our eyes. Today, the guy is running like a bull in the china shop every single time he has the ball in his hands. And I talked to Ronnie about it after, and he said that, Deebo Samuel was taking him under his wing. And the first play of the game was Deebo Samuel on a very bread-and-butter 49ers play, right? Get Brock Purdy back into rhythm, play fake, find Deebo Samuel crossing the formation of the flat, and then Deebo, 20 yards downfield, the last few yards, he's bowling over guys. That is the 49ers mentality. This team over the past few years has statistically been the best team after contact in the NFL. Thanks in large part to Deebo Samuel, to another yak monster and George Kittle. I mean, Christian McCaffrey can now count into that group. He's great after contact. I mean, the 49ers, this is their MO. And Ronnie Bell has shown up as a 7th-round draft pick, and Deebo Samuel's taken him under his wing, and this guy is performing in a way that I think embodies the 49ers style. He's got great balance. He's tough to bring down. He could fit into this offense. Now, Bell wasn't perfect. For the second straight week, he dropped a pass that turned into an interception. That one hurt Sam Darnold's stats today. Last week, it hurt Brandon Allen's stats. But despite the fact that he wasn't perfect, he's at the right place at the right time. As a 7th-round pick in an injured receiving room and in an injured returning room, right, returner room, 49ers are going to need a contribution from Ronnie Bell. Now he's got to get on the jugs machine or figure out whatever was wrong in each of the past 2 weeks on those drops. So there's still work to be done. It's never a cut and dry story. But boy, he has shown that he can play after the catch. And I think that's huge for the 49ers. Now, drop issues seem to be extending to more than one rookie. Cam Latu obviously is dropping a lot of passes. He wasn't perfect today either. Told me, Cam Latu did, that he should have caught that deep. It was a corner route. Lance got drilled on the play. You got to give Trey Lance a lot of credit for hanging in there like a man in the pocket, even as he got drilled. Got the ball out to Cam Latu. Not, quite where it was supposed to be. So Latu had to break off his route, come back toward the ball, but it bounced before it got to him. Cam Latu took full responsibility. He said, I should have caught that football. But then Cam Latu caught a touchdown from Trey Lance in the seam. Made a really nice catch on a rollout from Sam Darnold earlier. So you talk about a guy who drops might have been in his head a little bit. I thought today was a really big step forward for Cam Latu, holding on to most of the footballs that came his way and almost making what would have been a good catch. Says that he should have made it, but he didn't make it on that play that I just talked about from Trey Lance. Talk about Jair Brown. Jair said that he was calling Russell Wilson the OG out there. It was his dream to play against Russell Wilson. Jair, the 49ers didn't play Trent Williams today, and they didn't play Tashawn Gibson Sr. today, because both of those guys, Kyle Shanahan said, that those are age, not benchings, but those are age days off that I'm giving. Those are two of our oldest guys. I'm not going to make them play in an extra preseason game. So Shanahan wanted to give some time to the ones, but he didn't give that time to Trent Williams because he just wanted to give him some time off. Christian McCaffrey, too. McCaffrey's not as old as those guys, but for understandable reasons, they bubble wrap McCaffrey. They bubble wrap Trent Williams. They bubble wrap Tashawn Gibson. What that did is it allowed Jair Brown, the 49ers top draft pick from the recent draft, to play with the first team. And he said, I was out there with Fred Warner. I was out there with Charvarius Ward. I was out there with Talanoa Hufanga. For the first time, I felt like I was in the NFL. I'm here. And then he looks on the other side of the field, and he's like, oh, crap, there's Russell Wilson. It's a guy I grew up idolizing. So Jair Brown told me, and now he gets to chase him around the field. And I thought Jair Brown played a good game. After Russell Wilson left, Jair Brown made his second touchdown-saving tackle in 2 weeks on Jalen Virgil, right? It seemed to be a little bit of a bit of a breakdown. Ambry Thomas bit on the pump fake from Jarrett Stidham, and Jalen Virgil ran the pump and go and burned Ambry Thomas. Taylor Hawkins, the 49ers safety, wasn't over there in time. So it was up to Jair Brown to clean up the mess. And the 49ers don't win this preseason game. Jair Brown doesn't clean up that mess. Makes the tackle at the 2-inch line. Jalen Virgil doesn't get in. The Broncos run out of time at the end of the first half. So Jair Brown has shown good instincts. He's shown good game speed. He said it was awesome to be out there with Fred Warner. He said the communication was really good. Playing with first-team guys like Fred Warner, Charvarius Ward, they're all communicating. Talanoa Hufanga, they're all communicating out on the field. That really helps settle a rookie down, right? And it was cool to just hear that feedback from Jair Brown. And then he talked about how he would chase Russell Wilson around. He'd call him the OG and talk with him after the game. You saw a rookie's dream come true today. He was playing with stars on an NFL field for the first time. How cool is that? For any walk of life, if you have a dream, if you have something you set out to do, and then you're finally there and you realize, oh man, this is real. This has become realized. That happened for Jair Brown today, and he even got to talk to Russell Wilson after the game. And then finally, I got D. Winters listed up there. One of the big plays was Winters, third-string quarterback. Forgot the Italian name, the third-string quarterback for the Broncos. Just totally forgot his name. I should probably have a little stat sheet with me. But fourth down play, Winters, middle of the field, crosses the whole field, forces the fumble before the QB, Donetto, right? Yeah, I think Ben Donetto, before Ben Donetto could get around the corner. And Winters, last week he flashed his speed. This week he flashed his speed. It's really clear these 49ers rookie linebackers can play, get sideline to sideline. That was a huge play. So big contributions from the rookies, and the rookies include Jake Moody, who knocked through that winning field goal. Other standouts for the 49ers, T.Y. McGill, a sack and a pressure today. He's a veteran. He's the opposite of a rookie. He's been around for a long time. It was a big depth piece for the 49ers last year. Showed out in the preseason last year for the Minnesota Vikings. Showed out today for the 49ers. He had a nice, really nice move where he had a little rip move and followed it with a spin to notch either the hit or the sack today. I forgot which was which. But T.Y. McGill, at a time when the 49ers defensive line is leaking a little bit of oil here in the dog days of August injury-wise, gave him some really quality reps inside. So did Marlon Davidson. Davidson just had an effort sack today that I thought was eye-opening because this guy's got a real chance to make the team. Javon Kinlaw is sick, so he wasn't here today. That thinned out the 49ers at tackle on top of all the injuries that they've already suffered at the defensive end position. And the fact that Marlon Davidson and T.Y. McGill both gave the 49ers some quality snaps was really big. Then, I mean, you got the edge guys. Austin Bryant and Clelin Ferrell, both of these guys, they're both reclamation projects, right? They're college teammates at Clemson, and they're both having fun. And I walked up to Austin Bryant and asked him about it. He's like, yeah, I'm having a lot of fun. Now, that was the thing. He just glowed about this. Chris Kasarik is making this like a college-like environment. So it's reminding them of these two guys of when they won a national championship on this field. Clemson beat Alabama with a all-world college defensive line on this field at Levi's Stadium. And, you know, everybody talks about in that game was Trevor Lawrence at quarterback and the offense for the Clemson Tigers and how they just worked Alabama in that game. But it was also the defense that gave Tua Tagovailoa a lot of trouble. And, you know, because of that, you saw Austin Bryant drafted. You saw Clelin Ferrell drafted number 4 to the Raiders. Neither of those two players has had much success in the NFL rushing the passer throughout their first few years in the league. Obviously, Ferrell, 10 sacks for the Raiders in his 4 seasons. Austin Bryant was hurt for much of the time with the Detroit Lions. They're both now back together again with the 49ers in a great spot, it seems, for both of them. Both of them were jovial, happy after the game in the locker room. I thought both were productive off the edge. Both won some matchups today. I can't wait to watch the tape, see some of the more detailed numbers. But opportunities for both Bryant and Clelin Ferrell. No Nick Bosa yet, obviously, for the 49ers. There was no Drake Jackson today, still coming back from the hamstring. So they're going to have to rely on some of these reclamation projects, especially now that another reclamation project in Taco Charlton is done for the season. The 49ers put him on injured reserve today. So that was what I took out of the locker room today for the 49ers. You know, contributions from everywhere. Obviously, there's a lot to fix. Like, if I'm a 49ers fan, I would still be really concerned about where's the depth on the offensive line going to come from? Who's the swing tackle going to be? Because today, I don't think Jalen Moore is particularly good. I'm going to hold off full judgment until I see the tape. But it did seem there was some pressure coming in through the left side. There were a lot of penalties against 49ers interior linemen. I saw John Feliciano got beaten clean for a sack today. No chance. I think it was Sam Darnold in at quarterback when that happened. I think Feliciano is going to be a fine number 6 offensive lineman, but the 49ers would really like to see him play guard and maybe not center, although he played center for the Giants last year. The starting line looks fine. Colton McKivitz looked okay. It was good Broncos defense. I mean, ones against ones, Patrick Surtain was out there. Brock Purdy moved the ball right down the field. So the 49ers could breathe easy with what happened with Purdy, what happened with the first-team offensive line. I thought Kyle Shanahan was rolling Purdy out a lot, making sure maybe there was a little bit of a liability with Jalen Moore at left tackle. So Shanahan made sure that that wouldn't affect Purdy, that wouldn't hurt Purdy in this game. But for the most part, that first-team offense for the 49ers was crisp. Purdy's best throw was the rollout, naked side, finds Juwan Jennings downfield. I mean, those rolls to the left last year for Brock Purdy, right, the right-handed quarterback, those are the ones that gave him the most trouble when he had to reset his body, fire downfield. That's when we saw a little bit of inaccuracy from him. Not on that throw to Juwan Jennings. I mean, that was awesome, right? That was a great throw, about 15 yards downfield after he had to flip his hips. So first team offense, totally fine. It was when Darnold came in and that second team line started sputtering in front of him, the same way that second team line last week was sputtering in front of Trey Lance. That's when things became a little bit of an issue. And it took Darnold a little while to string together a couple drives, really through no fault of his own. He was like 5 of 6, like I said, throughout that first half. It wasn't until the second half when the pressure eased up, the line got better. Maybe that's because Denver started moving to more third-teamers rushing the quarterback. That's when Sam Darnold went on the touchdown drive. The jackhammer, fullback Jack Coletto scored that touchdown. Now, that came after the excellent throw from Darnold to Daz Newsome. But, you know, games like this, when the offensive line is struggling in front of you, ironically, I thought Darnold's best throw, hanging in the pocket, took a vicious hit, still delivered 20 yards downfield to Juwan Jennings. Thought that was his best play. It won't count, though. You don't see it at the box score. Why? Well, because there was a holding call in play. I think that was the one on Feliciano. So you just have to evaluate these things with the eye test as well. And I mean, the numbers were good for Darnold, but I thought the eye test showed that he didn't make big mistakes. I don't think there was a single glaring error. There was no turnover-like error in there, no turnover-worthy throw. He showed a high floor. He was steady. He's exactly what the 49ers would want from a QB2. And then Trey Lance, despite the rocky start, also started giving the 49ers what you'd want from a backup quarterback, right? He started ripping the ball downfield. He wasn't timid. He couldn't be timid to lead the 49ers to that win later in the game. And again, it might have come against the second and the third team defense, a mix of 2s and 3s, but Trey did what he didn't do last week. And that's pepper the ball down the field on time with confidence. That 6 of 6 drive there to finish things. Willie Snead made it was a perfect throw from Trey Lance, made a good catch on that. There was the Ronnie Bell play, and then obviously you had the Cam Latu touchdown the drive before that. But the Ronnie Bell play set up the field goal for Jake Moody. And the 49ers, I mean, this is my main point. The 49ers have to be really happy that all 3 quarterbacks delivered encouraging play, because that's been the point. The point hasn't been to set this up for a trade or something like that. The point has been to bolster the quarterback room as much as possible, give yourself as much option power as possible. And then when it's August 29th and you have to cut down the roster, reconsider where you are. You can continue reconsidering where you are into the regular season. But with option power, by considering quarterbacks to be currency, considering quarterbacks to be stocks that you invest in, you make yourself richer as a team. And we saw the stock portfolio of the 49ers quarterback room rise. I'm going to do stock up, stock down tomorrow, so we'll be able to get much further into all of this. But for right now, 49ers quarterback stock up, 49ers receiving room stock up thanks to Ronnie Bell. But, I mean, there's dips, too, with stock goes up, stock goes down. That drop, not good for Ronnie Bell, turned into an interception. It's got to get better. 49ers first-team offensive line, just like Brock Purdy, you exhale, but you still got to get better with the depth, right? 49ers defense, thought they played decently well in this game, especially the first team. They didn't have everybody, though. No Tashawn Gibson, no Nick Bosa. You just saw players knock off some of the cobwebs, knock off some of the rust, and we'll see how much better it gets for the 49ers moving forward. All right, so light just turned off in the room. Probably time for me to go. That's okay. Dress rehearsal next week. Kyle Shanahan confirmed that Purdy and the starters will play next week. Couple series today, or one series really for Brock Purdy and the starters today. I think next week we might see maybe close to half. That's how the 49ers have worked this before. Anyway, everybody like the video, sub to the channel. 49ers stock up, stock down, all that film breakdown coming tomorrow. And check out the article that I wrote on The Athletic on the 49ers rookies from the locker room. All right, everybody take care. Have a good night.